bring up some expiration times on here for you. So from Grand Ledge through Lansing, through Hazlitt, Holt, all these areas, boy, I would definitely be in your safe area. That tornado warning for Ingham County is in effect until 12:15 tonight. Brand new tornado warning in effect, and we possibly have some debris showing up on the radar that's getting now fairly close to the city of Lansing. There it is right there. So it's almost, it's almost over 69 and 96 where that rotation, where the debris is showing up. I'm going to circle it here for you. This is just to the northwest of Diamond
Hear those
Dale.
sirens outside
Tornado
right
sirens,
now.
yep. I can hear those outside now. So you can see how this was northwest of Potterville. And let me back this out a little bit more because I want to get a good trajectory on this. This was northwest of Charlotte, moving to the northeast. So this looks to me more like central Lansing that it's going to move over. So let me adjust our storm track on this. We do that. These are the arrival times. Lansing by 11:45, East Lansing by 11:50, and Bath by 11:55. That's where that debris signature will be heading. And I point that out because the debris signature indicates where things are being lofted up into the storm, something like insulation or 2x4s or pieces of trees or roofing material, whatever it is. It's different in size than raindrops, and so that's where the radar says this is where it's located. And because it's in that nice, neat little ball right there, that probably means there's a circulation there. And indeed, when we look at our velocity product, there is a very nice circulation showing up with significant winds associated in that. So there is a rotation. Let's see, 67 miles per hour moving away from the radar and about 14 towards. So we've got about 80 miles per hour worth of rotation just in that little spot. That is a lot. And then when you add in the storm motion, you're going to add to that. So the bottom line is you could have some destructive winds in that little area just to the northwest of Potterville, and that is headed towards the city of Lansing. If you're watching us from Clinton County, I don't see anything rotation-wise there. You've got a severe thunderstorm warning, although now we've got a tornado warning in effect. Yep, this is going to be in effect for Gratiot County and northern sections of Clinton County, including St. John's. And then a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Jackson County, so severe thunderstorm warning there. Let's dissect what's happening here first. So for our friends in St. John's, you've got a tornado warning. You can see it's basically near Ovid, just in south of, near Westphalia, northward. That's where that warning is located. Rotation in there, there's our spot right there. It is just south of Maple Rapids. And we'll back this up and let this play forward. Looks like it's heading to the east-northeast, so we'll put a storm track on this from that area of rotation. And there's some arrival times. Bannister by 11:55, Fenmore 12 o'clock, Chapin by around 12:02, and then Marion Springs, it looks like, by 12:04. So that is the latest tornado warning now in effect, and that is for portions of Clinton County. Further south, though, our cell that is moving in over the city of Lansing, the rotation now, and let's back this up just a little bit because I want to point out where it was, near Potterville, and now the rotation is over the city of Lansing. It's almost over 496 currently, so we'll put some streets on here for you. West Mount Hope Highway, Lansing Road, Waverly Road, Kreitz Road, those are the areas where that rotation is passing over. So if we still have a tornado, then that's where it would be. It will be heading to the northeast, so it's going to be affecting places like Kalamazoo Street, Comfort Street, a lot of our smaller roads, Harvest Lane, places like that. It's going to be passing over you momentarily. Now, if you look back at our debris tracker, there still is a little debris showing up, and this is basically right over Mount Hope Highway and Kreitz Road. So there's probably either some damage happening there right now, or some damage that happened earlier is being dropped in that area. So there'll likely be some debris strewn here and there across the southwestern portions of the city of Lansing. Looks like the fire department in Eaton County, possible tornado at Lansing Road and Canal Road in Delta Township. So it's basically right where we're pointing. We've got a possible tornado on the ground. Definitely has some debris, although check out that latest image, Kendall. That does look encouraging, as it's kind of like falling apart a bit. There's still some debris which may be happening in this area. but it doesn't look as concentrated. So hopefully, it is weakening just a little bit as it's making its way through the city of Lansing. But either way, take it seriously. There's still a lot of wind aside from a tornado in that area, so it can be doing some damage as well. If you're joining us from the city of Lansing, tornado warning is in effect. You want to be away from all doors, all windows. You want to be in the central part of your house with the most structure between you and the outside. And if you happen to have a basement, grab your family and head downstairs immediately to the basement. The storm will be out of here in about 10-15 minutes, so it won't be here long. So you just got to head down there and kind of batten down the hatches for the next few minutes. Kendall, you've got some beautiful rotation I see on your radar.
So I actually backed this up just a little bit because I wanted to talk about, David was saying the debris signature was becoming weaker with time. And also notice how tight these debris signatures were over into portions of Eaton County, both north and south of the city of Charlotte. This was right around 11:35. As we move this forward into time, notice that those rotations actually become a lot more broader in nature. You see less of those bright green colors next to those red or pink colors, which does to me indicate that yes, in fact, that this storm is slowly weakening with time. But now they are saying, actually, David, that a new threat is developing over near Holt right now.
All right, I'm looking at that too.
I don't see anything too impressive as of right now.
No.
At least in terms of our velocity, if we switch back to the Grand Rapids radar.
Well, there's a little bit. There's a little green south of Holt.
Right.
Yeah, kind of
right
there
a little bit.
Yep,
Let's see if we have some.
Nothing yet.
Not a lot of debris being picked up by the radar here, but still it's something that the National Weather Service says that they are watching. Let's review some of these tornado warnings that we have across the area, because the National Weather Service has gone ahead and expired at least some of those at this time, and notice that we do still have a lot that we need to think about across the area. So the latest ones over into portions of Eaton and Ingham County. In Eaton County, your warning currently set to expire still by 11:45, so just in a couple of minutes here as we head over to the warning into portions of Ingham County, I should say. That one going to expire by the time we hit 12:15. And again, the National Weather Service is currently looking at least some signs of rotation near the city of Holt. We also don't have any sort of rotation showing up in portions of Clinton and Gratiot County, but still, nonetheless, tornado warnings in place there until 12:15. So again, you need to make sure that you're headed to your safe space if you are in a tornado warning, regardless of whether or not we are seeing any sort of rotation or debris signature on our satellite and radar. Again, the best option for you going to be a basement. If you do not have one, you want to make sure that you are kind of insulated in your home, away from windows and outside doors. So a hallway, maybe a stairs, or a closet, also going to be a really good option for you.
I'm going to check out some of the cams outside. It's pouring here at the station now. This is our McLaren cam, and we're looking generally to the west-southwest. And we are taking some power hits as well. So we're getting some lightning strikes here at the station. But as you can see, just blinding rain outside. The winds so far, 38 miles per hour, but we're sustained now at 39 miles per hour. So I expect we're going to get some higher gusts here very soon on the McLaren cam as these storms are moving through. Now, as we head further west into Grand Ledge, and I hope you're still with us at home. If you are, we certainly thank you. Yeah, our wind gust was at 31 miles per hour in Grand Ledge, so that really, was not too terribly bad. Looks like we are coming back up on air, I hope, and online. There's our Grand Ledge cam where winds gusted up to 31. Now the winds are really cranking outside of the station right now. I'm going to flip back over to the McLaren cam.
Yeah, I'll go over and point it a little bit closer towards
look at our wind gust there, Kendall, 66 miles per hour.
Yeah, really impressive. We're going to move this camera over towards the direction of our station just to kind of get a glimpse as to what could be happening. Again, really dark outside, so we won't be able to see much, but hopefully the lightning will at least give us a better idea of what is actually occurring across the area.
We had some just extremely heavy rain. I heard the wind just blasting through a few moments ago, and winds have gusted over 60 miles per hour. Our wind's currently a little bit lighter, down to 13, so that's good news really hard to make anything out on there because the rain is just coming down so hard and heavy. That's the other problem with storms like this is, you know, you try to look outside, can I see a tornado? And it's just rain wrapped and heavy rain and lightning, so it's really difficult to see. We'll head back over towards Grand Ledge. Still a lot of lightning showing up. In terms of the wind speeds, again, not all that bad, 31 miles per hour. Jackson County, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning, but for the moment you're okay as we await those storms to come in because they will be there very, very soon. In fact, I'm going to go back over to the Doppler now. We're going to zoom in across central sections of Mid-Michigan. You see the worst of this activity is now making its way through the city of Lansing where we have a tornado warning in effect. Rotation, that looks a little bit better to me. There might be a little something there trying to spin just south of DeWitt on the north side of Lansing. Debris-wise, I don't really see anything in there. I think we're okay. The debris that sparked over the southwestern part of the city of Lansing kind of fizzled as it made its way. I mean, what's left of that is almost right over the station, but there's a little bit of debris perhaps still in the clouds here. This is going to be near Coleman Road, Coolidge Road, Howe Avenue, some of those locations, Sheridan Road, but it's not as pronounced. So, you know, to me, if there is anything there, it should be very little. Further southwest, things look okay. Rotation-wise, we've got one area that really catches my attention. That's just northeast of Onondaga. There's a bit of a notch in this area, and so where it's kind of turning like that, you know, it gets me a little worried that we better keep an eye on that for maybe some tornadic development. Hopefully not, but that certainly is an area that, at least radar-wise, catches your attention. And then even more so, I'm going to switch back over. I'm switching back and forth between a couple different radar sites. But this is pretty close to Mason. This is on Holt Road, Cedar Road, heading towards Okemos Road. And doesn't look as pronounced here, but the area that has my attention is almost right over Holt. So that area could be trying to form a tornado, and I suspect once we get out, the National Weather Service gets out and inspects some of these areas tomorrow and the next couple of days, that there's probably going to be some of those confirmed because the debris signatures were just too strong to think that, you know, nothing was happening. I think we probably did have something. The last of our rotation from our tornado warned storm that moved through Lansing is just south of DeWitt. Do I see anything there that has me alarmed in terms of debris? Not really. So we've got some rotation, but probably okay at the ground, at least for now. Zooming back out, our entire line is rapidly now advancing east, so it is not going to take very long at all, and it'll be completely through the TV6 viewing area. Kendall, give the pick side a check real quick too, and make sure we haven't had any picks come in. If you happen to take pictures of damage, do so safely, not until the warning's over, and you can do so without any danger. But we'd love to see some of those at WLNS.com/share. Looks like we're back up and running here in the studio. All of our lights are back on now, as we had some pretty significant power hits as this line of storms was moving through. Now, wind speeds, they are still really impressive. There's one wind core in particular, and this is just north of Mason. It's passing over Holt. I bet you had some pretty strong winds in Holt over the past 15 minutes. Winds aloft from radar perspective are close to 90 miles per hour. So as these storms, you know, they produce updrafts and downdrafts, and as they do so, when those downdrafts come down out of the storm, they can bring some of those high winds down. And you see these storms, I mean, these extend pretty high in the atmosphere, 35,000 feet or so. So it doesn't take a big downdraft to bring some of those very strong winds, you know, just screeching back down towards the ground, and you can get a lot of damage really quickly when that happens. So for our friends in Holt and Mason and everywhere, we're certainly watching this very closely for you as well, because I do think there'll be some wind damage. You know, forget the tornadoes for a moment. There'll be some wind damage from some of these strong cells as they're moving through. Looks like this is just to our east now, east of the city of Lansing, as far as any potential rotation, anything like that. So basically along 127 and westward, I feel like we're probably in pretty good shape now from a tornado perspective, but from a damaging wind perspective, to still get some of those out there as well. Let me pop over to your computer, Kendall. We've got that report, looks like, of a tornado in the city of Lansing.
Yes, so this was reported to the National Weather Service, or actually they put it in the chat that we used to communicate with them right around 11:40. Spotters over near the Meyer Distribution Center into portions of Eaton County actually reporting some power flashes. And remember, that is right around the area that David was talking about where we had that debris signature. Again, no significant areas of rotation at least catching our eye as of right now. And we're going to kind of bounce in between radar sites since we're so close to US 127. It looks like down through US 127 south of Mason, a little area of rotation maybe trying to develop at this point in time. And also one over into northern sections of Jackson County. That's where our attention is actually going to be as we go forward. I do want to very quickly just put kind of a storm track on this line of showers and thunderstorms as they roll through, just to give you some quick and updated arrival times as to when you can expect maybe some damaging winds across your area. So again, National Weather Service saying these are moving to the northeast or east-northeast right around 55, 60 miles per hour. That's going to put these storms over into the Jackson area, well, basically right around now, a little after midnight over towards Hillsdale. Good news is severe weather threat is expected to completely exit our area over into the Metro Detroit region right around 1 o'clock, technically tomorrow morning.
That's very interesting. You know, we're tracking the debris signature moving over the southwestern part of the city of Lansing and then getting those reports of power flashes and things in that area. So, you know, no doubt there's going to be some damage to clean up across mid-Michigan. Just a question of how significant it is. When you get those debris signatures on radar, you know, that gets your attention and it really elevates the severity of it. Oh boy, you got some updated power outage numbers there, Kendall.
Yes, we just updated this. This was right around 10 minutes or so. But again, over into portions of Calhoun County, just shy of 10,000 customers without power due to the line of showers and thunderstorms that rolled through there. North of 3,000 over in Ionia County. Berry County by far looks like they have the most across mid-Michigan. Currently 23% of customers without power, just under 8,000 at this time. Again, these are outdated numbers by just around 10 minutes, so we still need to update those, but just around 1,000 customers without power over into portions of Eaton County.
Back to the radar we go, and the intense line of storms is now right over 127 and rapidly advancing to the east. We still have numerous warnings in effect, including some tornado warnings. Now, let me first head in across sections of Ingham County, and you can see how the tornado warning has been reduced in size, but nonetheless, that tornado warning remains in effect from Mason, from East Lansing east to the county line until 12:15 tonight. In the last few radar images, things have been somewhat encouraging in that we don't have the pronounced area of circulation. The only one that really gets my attention, at least right now, is the one that's south of Mason, just north of Leslie. So that area I feel like we need to watch. You know, these things are spinning up pretty quickly tonight. Rotation looks good. Not a whole lot on the debris tracker, so that is encouraging for the time being. We'll head further north then, through sections of Ingham into sections of Clinton County. Now, St. John's, you're technically still under this tornado warning, at least maybe a quarter of the city perhaps, not really that much, mainly north and east of St. John's, including Elsie and Ovid. Radar is pretty active with intense rainfall moving through. Our velocity product doesn't show a tremendous amount. I suppose the only area that sort of gets my attention would just be to the southwest of Elsie. So from that area, if we track that moving off to the northeast, that would be in Elsie by 11:58. So be in your safe area. Chapin by 12:04, Brady Center 12:10, and Oakley by 12:12 on that particular thunderstorm. So that's another intense one. It doesn't have me too terribly worried, but still, you know, want to keep a close eye on that. South of Ashley, there is an area of rotation that will be moving away from mid-Michigan, so you should be okay in Ashley very soon, and we'll see that warning likely either canceled or replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning. Further to the south, we've got Jackson County. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning, so that actually tonight at least is good news. There's the radar, though, that shows a couple areas of storms, one that's in northern sections of Jackson County, and then one that's to your west with this last batch of storms as it pushes through. Watching down towards Coldwater, as those storms are kind of in an untapped atmosphere, so we'll have to watch for maybe some slightly more intense development if those storms can get their act together. So far, so good, however. We'll zoom back out, and there's a look at the broad view on the Doppler radar, which shows an intense line of storms moving through mid-Michigan. Now I want to take you out on some of our cams. McLaren cam, the rain is a lot lighter. You can see some towers off in the distance and lights. Our wind gusts, though, over 60 miles per hour, so no doubt as that storm that was rotating moved over the station in the McLaren hospital area, there'll probably be some scattered power outages around those areas. And then, of course, the southwestern part of the city of Lansing had an actual debris signature, which could have very well been a tornado on the ground in the southwestern corner of the city. 64 currently in Grand Ledge. Thankfully, only a 31-mile-per-hour gust, but we picked up over 0.6 of an inch of rainfall out there. How about the Jackson cam? Now we've got a severe thunderstorm warning, but our wind gust only 23. Very good news so far. You got a little more storm activity to get through, but hopefully the worst of it is passing by to your north. Hillsdale has been very quiet. I mean, you've certainly not been in the line of sight for any storms out there this evening. Peak wind gust is only 21 miles per hour, and the rainfall total very, very light. Most of the more intense activity now is beginning to make its way out of Clinton and Gratiot counties, and we'll be out of Ingham County fairly soon. We've still got a little more to go in eastern sections of Ingham County, however. Velocity continues to indicate just the winds. Well, let's don't worry about rotation for a moment, but just the winds embedded within this line are still very intense. Just south of Williamston, the radar is indicating winds of 84 miles per hour away from the surface. And as I pointed out earlier, when you get some really intense downdrafts, which is just some sinking air from these storms, that's when you can get into trouble with some of those 80+ mile per hour winds making it down to the surface. One of the keys for that is how tall are these storms. These storms this evening are running around 30,000 feet, pretty respectable. So I have no doubt that as some of these storms move through, we'll get some wind down to the surface. I'll slide this down to the south a bit, and we can kind of follow how high these storms are. And there you see some of these extending over 30,000 feet in the atmosphere, 30 to 35,000 feet. So that certainly increases the severe potential from the storms as they're able to use more of the atmosphere to get some of those damaging winds all the way down to the surface. Notice, as we head to eastern sections of mid-Michigan, if you're watching from Howell into eastern Jackson County, eastern sections of Ingham County, you've still got some storms to get through before you're done with this, but it continues to look quite intense out there this afternoon. Ken, I'll throw it over to you in just a second. I just want to check one more time with our McLaren cam to see if we have anything new as far as winds. I suspect this is about as high as we're going to get, though, as that initial burst of wind began to move through this evening. And boy, when it did, it hit hard and very quickly.
So we do have a new report coming in from the Ingham County Emergency Manager saying that they just got off the phone with the 911 Deputy Director. They're now getting reports of a semi overturned in between South Canal Street and Kreitz Road. Unfortunately, 2 people are reportedly trapped within that overturned semi. Again, that's right around the area where we had that tornadic circulation that we were talking about earlier. And I still want to mention, even though we don't have any significant signs of rotation on the radar, winds are still incredibly strong. We've also gotten some reports from Ingham County Emergency Manager Rob Dale of some trees falling down over in Holt and Okemos. Nothing extreme at this time, but still something that we will want to be mindful of, especially as these storms continue to track off to the east. Radar currently saying that we're seeing winds anywhere between 70 to 90 miles per hour across the area. Now, the radar beam kind of shoots up into the atmosphere, so it is going to overestimate some of these wind speeds, but still it just goes to show that this is not a situation that we want to take lightly just because we don't have any significant signs of rotation actually showing up on radar at this particular point in time here. And I guess the good news is, David, I will mention previously, we were thinking about the potential for large hail across the region. Thankfully, that hasn't really materialized across the area. We've seen some rather light reports of hail, mainly pea, walnut size across the region. That's likely going to continue as these storms race off to the east into eastern portions of our viewing area as well here.
I was just looking at getting some new numbers from consumers, Kendall, and it looks like quite a stretch of really significant power outages to the southwest of the city of Lansing. Some of these areas we're talking thousands without power. Looks like Consumers says 168,000 customers are affected, with over 2,263 total outages. Now, the numbers do drop as you're getting closer to the city of Lansing, but certainly on the southwest side of town, over 69, just to the north and west of Potterville, to the south of Potterville, all those areas, there are lots of outages around that area. So no doubt these numbers are going to continue to creep up on us.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the power outages that we are seeing widespread across mid-Michigan. As David was mentioning, currently we have north of 22,000 customers without power over in Ingham County. As we head off to the west of that in Eaton County, just under 10,000 customers. That number hasn't really changed since our last time that we updated this power outage graphic, which is definitely good news. Calhoun County, however, significant jump, 21,000 customers currently without power, and then also over into portions of Clinton County. Thankfully, only just a few hundred of individuals currently sitting without power at this time.
I am just finally getting some of my data back. We took a really big power hit half an hour or so ago, and I lost quite a few of my systems, but they're all back up and operational now. So, you know, we're just in the process now of assessing what damage we have out there and what additional damage we can expect. This line now is beginning to show a little bit of a bow, and what I mean by that is simply, you know, a bow and arrow. It looks like a bow. But oftentimes what that means is that the winds inside the storm on the backside are pushing it at that central part. And so you can get the line that bows out, but that means in that bowing area, that is where you can also get some significant damage. That's where you can get those winds, you know, coming down to the surface and doing quite a bit of damage. We'll take you in. We're going to go in here in 3D mode for a second because I want to try to measure those winds if we can. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and get this camera shot set up a little bit, and then I'm going to switch modes on the radar. We're going to go over to our velocity mode in 3D. Don't often do this, but sometimes it can be really handy when you're trying to diagnose you know, strong winds within a line of storms. So let's go over to, there we go, got that in there. All right, so we're good. So now I'm going to move this around a little bit, and as I do so, whoops, I switched back there on you, sorry about that. Get back over to our velocity. Velocity basically is showing some of those strong winds feeding into the backside of this storm. So I'm going to rotate through this storm and follow it to the south, and you see a lot of those greens feeding into this line of storms. Some of that is going to be some high level winds, like right there. It looks like just to the northeast of Lansing there were some bright greens that were being pushed down, you know, out of the storm into this area. So that to me is a signature on radar that probably we're going to have some wind damage across quite a few areas of mid-Michigan, but seeing on radar just kind of confirms what we already suspected, that these winds that radar is indicating up high, they are making it down to the surface. They are downing some trees and power lines across the area. There again is a look at our current velocity. There's a look at the warnings. It looks like we got a new tornado warning just issued. This is going to be for Livingston County. Pardon me if you just said this, Kendall. I was getting my data back up, but a new tornado warning in effect for Livingston County until 12:45. So that includes Howell, some major areas throughout Livingston County along Highway 96. That entire stretch is under a tornado warning. We've technically still got a tornado warning in effect for Ingham County, but we're really kind of out of the danger area now. 12:15 is the expiration time on that. We'll zoom in and look at some of the velocity underneath the storms. And yeah, I don't really see anything that's got me concerned. So I think in Lansing, we're certainly in the clear. If you're watching from Weberville, Williamston, those areas, you may still have some gusty winds, but you're in much better shape. Northwest of Stockbridge, there's a bit of rotation there, so we'll have to kind of watch that for you. It doesn't really concern me at this point, but it is an area that we'll want to keep close eye on. No signs of any debris in there as well. So if you're watching from Stockbridge, White Oak, I think you're in good shape. Now, if you're watching from western sections of Livingston County, like Fowlerville, you're about to get some pretty significant winds. Those winds away from the surface are just screaming tonight. Some of those mid-level winds feeding into the storm, velocities at 95 miles per hour. Good downdraft, and we could have some pretty serious damage. So I would be in my safe area in Fowlerville and Howell. I mean, you've got a tornado warning, so that should tell you right away you need to be in your basement or lowest room of your home or business if you're at a business. Into Shiawassee County, a little area just to the north of Perry. Rotation-wise, it's not too terribly concerning, but that, of course, could produce some damage at the surface even if you don't have a tornado. So want to pay attention to that very carefully as well. You've got a severe thunderstorm warning in Shiawassee County. That warning is in effect until 1 a.m. So if you live in Shiawassee County, you probably really got about 20 minutes of severe potential before things will look a little bit better. I'm not discounting that there's a tornado warning in effect for Williamston. I realize you're still under a warning, Weberville as well, but the tornado threat is really to your east now. Mason, you're fine. I'm not worried about a tornado at this point. Same thing for Dansville. We'll keep an eye out north of Stockbridge, however, but at this point, I feel like we may have some minor rotation, but nothing that's screaming to me that this is, producing a tornado in that area. Let me come back over to your computer, Kendall. What have you got for us? So
we have a couple of pictures and videos that we're trying to get in. This particular video coming to us from Tim over in Lansing. You can kind of see those sheets of rain passing in the background here, going to show that this is not only a significant producer of precipitation across the area, but also the winds, definitely something that we need to think about as well. We're trying to get another picture uploaded into our system at this point in time, having a little bit trouble with that. But Amy over in Lake Odessa, thank you so much for sending that in. We'll try and show it on air as soon as we get it uploaded into our system, but showing some signs of tree damage over in that area. Looks like what is a fairly large tree being snapped almost completely in half because of the powerful nature of these winds that we have across the area.
You may have said this earlier, Kendall, pardon me if you did, that near Barnes Road, 127, looks like a tractor trailer that was flipped. So, that's going to be at least 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, if not a little bit higher to flip over, a truck like that. So the winds have really meant business out there for us this evening. They have been quite strong. The last of the storms now are basically east of 127 with the exception of Jackson County, Hillsdale, Branch counties. We've got that last little push of moisture that's going to move through fairly soon. So you still got potential for some additional severe weather in Jackson. You had one cell come through, but what's to your west is actually a little bit more intense. So that area near Marshall, we'll have to watch. And that area, by the way, does have some pretty good turning of wind with heights. So there's just south of Albion, in fact, there's a little bit of a notch there showing up. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And then you've got just what looks like some straight level winds here near Clarendon, and then heading into Litchfield fairly soon. But that'll move into southern sections of Jackson County. So a couple different aspects of that storm that we have to watch out for you folks in Jackson, as you're certainly not out of the woods despite having some rainfall there. The most intense portion of our line of storms is now actually moving through Corunna. It's this leading edge right here where we've got the most intense winds potential over the next 10 to 15 minutes, and then it is beginning to move out of the TV6 viewing area. So that'll certainly be some great news. Once we get that back through, we've just got that trailing area that's now moving into Branch County. It'll take a little bit longer to clear the area, but otherwise looking pretty good. Kendall, what are you seeing over there?
So I wanted to quickly talk about some of the winds that we are seeing across the area. As we mentioned, we're getting significant reports of, overturned semis and cars on roads. So it's something that we need to be mindful of, even though we're not seeing any significant rotation across the area. So we're going to put a very quick storm track on this for you on the leading edge of these showers and thunderstorms, kind of where we see those green to even bright blue colors extending east of US 127 down through portions of Jackson County into eastern sections now of Branch County as well. This system going to be moving into Hillsdale right around 12:35, completely off to our east right around 1:30 tomorrow morning. Again, good news is no significant signs of rotation embedded within this line. If we just kind of go along, you notice we're not seeing any of those notches developing along this line of showers and thunderstorms. Some small rotation just east of Stockbridge, but overall that has been looking fairly weak within the last few radar frames that we have been picking up from the radar site over in Metro Detroit. As we head further down to the south, again, over into portions of Jackson, Hillsdale, Branch County. This mainly just looks like a damaging wind kind of event. Again, no significant signs of rotation, but still something that we need to make sure that we take incredibly seriously, no matter if you are under a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning. Just make sure that you kind of have that severe weather plan in place, and you want to make sure that you act on that as soon as possible here.
Just speaking with the National Weather Service, and they're indicating or saying that, yeah, there's some potential in Branch County, Hillsdale County, but overall, especially Branch County, we've got no reports of trees or wires down, anything like that. So it appears to be just heavy rain and gusty winds, but without the severe criteria. So at least some good news out there this evening.
Yes, so that is very encouraging news. I want to take a quick look at some of the peak wind speeds that we have on our sensors thus far. Again, by far, McLaren, we had a wind gust of, I believe it was 66 miles per hour.
Yeah, these all reset at midnight, so that's why they're so low.
Okay, there we go. I forgot to check the time before I did that. So yes, we still do have, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in place across the area. National Weather Service has trimmed some of these warnings off. Notice as you head west of US 127, the only real warning that we have currently in place is over in portions of Branch County. Currently, that severe thunderstorm warning expected to expire within 4 minutes here. And then, of course, we have these red boxes indicating those tornado warnings. This is going to expire over in Ingham County within the next few minutes here, according to the National Weather Service.
And the danger is east of you now.
Yes, but over in Livingston County, that's set to expire by the time we hit 12:45.
It looks like to me, I'm going to go back over to my radar source, that we're beginning to see this become what we call more linear. It's just lined out. It looks more like, just straight line winds with a line of storms that's beginning now to slowly lose some of its punch. There's still some decent wind, it looks like, moving out of Ingham County and into Livingston County, that bright blue area. We'll sample those winds for you, but generally 60 to 70s is kind of what we've seen. We're still at 64. It's down a little bit, but still I think some damaging winds will certainly do some damage in that area. I'm told that a portion of 496 is closed right now to a down wire that is near MLK. So if you can find out, Matt, is that both east and west or one particular direction? But a portion of 496 is closed at MLK because of a down wire. That's just, one more indication to us that, yep, what we're seeing on radar, it's all adding up. Both directions. Okay, so both directions of 496 at MLK are closed due to a down wire. So let's give them some time to clean that up. But what caused the damage there is now well east. The city of Lansing, we're back in good shape. Just got to kind of, wait this out to assess any damage that we've seen out there. And so far, it's been encouraging to the south. My only area of concern as far as, any new warnings will be across Jackson County. This line of storms is pushing into Jackson from the southwest with some intense rainfall, and there probably is going to be some wind in there as well. I don't see anything too crazy over Jackson currently, but off to the southwest, just south of Marshall, we've still got some winds 70 plus away from the surface. Just a question of, can we actually get those down to the surface, because it's looking a little bit less likely as we've lost a lot of that daytime heat this afternoon. You've got a few more pics, it looks like, that have come in.
Yes, we have a new video coming in to us from Angela over in Lansing, Groesbeck area. You can see that debris lining up on the roads, those trees falling down in the front yard, it looks like. And then also, as we loop this video back, pay very close attention to when this camera pans. You can see those down power lines in the background as well in just a few seconds here. Right there, you can kind of see that down wire on the ground.
Well, that's just, we really appreciate that, Angela, and please, please, please stay safe out there. But we expected to see this, so kind of getting the pictures and videos in, we really, really appreciate that. Because radar was telling us, this is happening, and seeing it, yeah, it did happen. We've got some damage out there. Hopefully nothing too substantial over the southwestern part of the city of Lansing, because we had some debris signatures on radar indicating that there could be, you know, things being lofted up into the storm and a possible tornado. So, you know, that's worst case scenario. And seeing this by Groesbeck, well, it's not far from the station. Of course, we had a 60-mile-per-hour gust here at the station. So I'm not shocked to see these images, but certainly hurts to see them because this is a lot of cleanup for folks. And you don't ever want to be anywhere, of course, near down lines. It's so unsafe out there. So if you can avoid being out driving through some of this debris, don't drive over down power lines. Just turn around, stay away from them, and you know, let the utility crews get a chance to get out there and get some of this fixed. But you know, as Kendall was pointing out earlier, there have been a lot of power outages, especially across. I was looking at consumers a few moments ago, and just to the southwest of Lansing in this kind of general path, I was seeing a lot of damage. And of course, that is where that debris signature tracked. So, you know, it could be tornadic damage causing some of those power outages, but there were straight line winds in that area as well. So either way, we knew that damage was being done just watching some of those outage numbers that were coming in. Lightning tracker, well, let me let this catch up. It's going to kind of cache this data, but look at that lightning moving across the area. That is really incredible. Put some numbers on here for you. That is 2,300 strikes in the past 30 minutes. But as we pointed out, Kendall, we were, what, 3,500 or so?
Yeah, we were close to 4,000, I believe, as these storms are kind of rolling in off of Lake Michigan, which is a good thing to note because lightning kind of gives us an idea of just how strong a line of showers and thunderstorms is. And since it's weakening with time in terms of the amount of lightning we're seeing across the area, it also goes to show that just the strength of this line of showers and thunderstorms is continuing to weak as we track off to the east. Kind of a very similar forecast to what we were saying earlier this evening, David.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, in terms of how we thought things would pan out, this is pretty close to what we thought, with damaging winds and the potential for a few tornadoes. McLaren cam's down to 65 now, so we've lost any instability. We're good there. The peak wind, it's reporting 14 because this resets at midnight. We had a 66-mile-per-hour gust with the storms as they rolled through. Of course, Grand Ledge is all quiet now. Rainfall-wise, you picked up not very much, although I suspect our gate, there's something that's reset at midnight. I suspect there was around 3 to 4/10 of an inch of rain in that area. Wind gust was 31 miles per hour in Grand Ledge, however. Jackson Cam, this does not reset at midnight. You can see the storms there on the horizon. Wind gusts so far at 23 and a precipitation total of 0.08 of an inch, but you've got more rain moving in. You see those low-hanging clouds on the horizon there. We call those sometimes in weather SLCs, scary-looking clouds. Not necessarily anything dangerous, but they certainly look dangerous when you see them illuminated by lightning strikes that are happening over and over and over. Also wanted to point out, we talked about the watch that was in effect, the tornado watch. That is now being canceled from west to east. So Montcalm County, Ionia, and Berry counties now are out from under that watch. Lansing, Grand Ledge, St. John's, Jackson, Eastwood, still the watch is in effect, but it too will be canceled fairly early because the line of storms now is beginning to advance so quickly through the area. We haven't seen a tremendous number of damage reports, but judging from the power outages that we're seeing, there's likely a lot of damage out there, especially across Eaton County, Berry County, Calhoun County, into portions of Ingham County. And there's, of course, the reports of the tornadoes from the city of Lansing. We'll put some information up on those storm reports. The westernmost tornado report, this was overturned on Millet Highway between Canal and Kreitz. And that's why there's a tornado signature there, or icon there, because that was exactly where that rotation was moving over. And it had debris signature and everything, so no doubt this was probably from the tornado. And then also on the southwest side, pretty close to Kreitz Road, power flashes near the Meyer Distribution Center off of Kreitz Road, and that correlates with where the tornadic signature was on radar. So those two areas. Weather Service will, of course, send someone out to survey that area and confirm tornado or not. But I'll bet that one's confirmed because, boy, it certainly looked really good on radar. There you can see right now the rainfall as it continues to move through, and looks like it's about to start raining heavily in the Jackson area again.
Yes, and I also wanted to quickly point out, we were talking about how lightning kind of confirmed that these line of storms were slowly weakening with time. Also, we can see confirmation of that just when we take a look at the number of power outages across the area. So again,